Hi there, my name is Lee Bowie, and I'm a cloud advisor with IBM. And I'm going to show you developers out there how to get started with blockchain so that you can quickly understand its concepts and know what it's built with, and without too much fuss or muss, just get started in a hurry. So quickest way, just go to ibm.com/blockchain. You'll see lots of information here about IBM's involvement with blockchain. It's all based on this hyperledger.org project, which is sponsored by the Linux Foundation, which IBM is a key member. And it's open source, of course. It's the Linux Foundation. And if you want to get started, probably the easiest way is the only button you see, get started. And then what you do is you just scroll to the bottom here. There's lots of information about how things work, and there's lots of detailed information about our implementation in Bluemix, which is based on Cloud Foundry, another open source project. But the simplest way to get started is to pick one of the examples. And this marbles one is very, very simple. You can take a look at the code in GitHub just by clicking on there. You can also deploy from here. But if you just want to get going, you can just hit this deploy to Bluemix button here. And if you don't have a Bluemix account, that would open it up right there. But if you could just go to bluemix.net, you can sign up for an account. I already have an account and have been logged in, so it's logged me in automatically. But you can get a 30-day free trial. It's very simple to get. You just sign up, put in a couple of details. It'll send you an email, usually within an hour. Click the link, boom, you're in. So you need to do that before you actually try the deploy to Bluemix button. Okay, so once you've done that deploy to Bluemix, here's a few of my apps that are running here. It'll ask you what you want to call it. I decided to call it Lee Marbles. And when you click on the app, after you go into your console, compute, see your apps, and go into here, you'll see details about everything that's there to support the app. You can ignore this if you're on the trial because it doesn't mean anything. And if you look at, you'll notice that it uses Git to keep track of changes to code if you want to make that. And here it's showing you where it's connected to the blockchain service in Bluemix. So the quickest way to get going is, so once you do the deploy, it's going to automatically launch the app. Then if you go into the console here, you can actually view it. What you can see is it's a very, very simple idea. It's like Bob's got marbles, Leroy's got marbles, they exchange marbles. They both have copies of the ledger. They're using blockchain to keep track of who does what. So here's some of the transactions that have already occurred. If you want to do an exchange, it's pretty simple. Just drag one over to the other, and then it'll actually, these are actually running on, Bob and Leroy are actually running on separate virtual machines. So sometimes it takes a while to actually do the deployment. So it might take like 5 minutes to do the deployment because it actually builds this all on a virtual machine infrastructure underneath Bluemix. But then what you'll see once that transaction's occurred is you'll see a new block come into the blockchain. And all you need to do here is just hover over, and it'll give you details about that particular block in the chain, like the actual ID. So that's like the encrypted data that's in there, the UUID, what the payload was, what the call was, etc. And if you want even more details, what you can do is you can drill into the actual blockchain service that's supporting your app. And if you go into here, you can get just all kinds of details on the chain, who did what when, overall statistics about the chain. And when you go into the service here, it just gives you an overview of the service. But if you want to go into tools, you just go here. And you can see that it shows you the recent peers and routes, the certificate authority. You can look at the actual chain, how many transactions have happened, how many blocks are in the chain, what the API is that needs to be called, and where things were deployed, the actual logs of the transactions here. which is really handy when you're trying to debug stuff and look at the actual API calls. So that's good there. And if you want to go back and look at the actual code, you have the opportunity to do that as well. So you can go in here. You can just click edit code. This will also give you the opportunity to look at other things like how the actual deployment works and that side of it. That's all under here. But if you wanted to look at the code, what it's doing, if you wanted to change it, to mess with it, to see what would happen, that's all in here. So this is the thing that's nice about this. It's all built in Bluemix. This is Project Orion, which is Eclipse for web-based applications. So it's a full IDE, including agile tracking and planning in there as well. So, if you're doing a group project, you could do, you wouldn't use it for something like this example, but if you're doing a group project, you could organize sprints and put tasks and stories in there as well. So it's a full-blown editor with markup and the whole thing. So it's easy to get your way around here. So the point is, it's very lightweight. It's easy to get started with this. It's easy to just drill right into what's happening with the blockchain. You can see what's happening. It's one of those things, like a lot of things, that when you talk about it, it's you understand it at one level, but when you actually start drilling into it and seeing how some actual code works, then it kind of clicks, especially if you're a developer. Okay, so that's it for me. And if you have any questions about getting going with blockchain on Bluemix, or just general questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Bye.